Kristin, and welcome back to Create, Share, Inspire podcast. This is episode 294, and we are here live in Southwest Florida, waiting for the sun to rise over the buildings and the trees to the east, which I believe is a possibility this morning. And this is the Gulf of Mexico behind me. We have some really weird cloud formations this morning on the horizon. It almost looks like there's mountains in the distance, which is kind of fun. If you're joining me live, please say hello and let me know if you're crafting this morning. Hi Melissa, thanks for joining live. I am working on some amigurumi babies, toys. Good morning Mar and Grace and Edna. I'm working with Biso baby yarn and a size E hook and making some cute little animals. So I'm going with, good morning Karen. So I decided to make an extremely basic pattern, and that basic pattern is then going to be able to be modified with different kinds of arms and legs and facial features and different types of ears so that you could make it a monster or a bunny or a bear or a puppy or a kitty or whatever. But it's going to be a basic body shape so that anybody that is new to making animals will not feel intimidated. Good morning everyone. I missed a bunch of names while I was talking, but I really appreciate you all being here. Edna is making a black choker with beads. Sounds beautiful. Hi Naomi and Christy, thanks for joining live. Sorry for the names that I missed. Good morning Sherry. I have a funny, I noticed something really awesome but kind of a bummer yesterday when I was looking at the playlist for the podcast after we did our 1-year anniversary podcast yesterday. For some reason, throughout my birthday and the move week, YouTube deleted a whole week's worth of videos. And I don't know if any of you noticed, but when they did that, I had to go back and redo certain numbers to stay chronological. And so it turns out, if I hadn't lost those seven videos or so earlier this month, yesterday would have been our 300th episode and 1-year anniversary. So technically we're at 294 episodes today because we lost all those videos, which it's neither here nor there. No, I didn't delete any videos. I would not delete any videos. I have no reason to delete podcast videos. I don't think I've deleted a video on purpose unless I uploaded it by mistake. Yeah, my birthday video was on there, and it was a whole set of them, and somebody had mentioned it to me last week, and I noticed, I'm like, oh, I better go back and redo the numbers. So technically yesterday should have been our 300th episode as well, but oh well, what are you going to do? I have not had great luck with contacting YouTube in the past for things like that. I kind of get the gist that if something's happening, it's just because of, what was I going to say? Something going on in the background, so there's not much I can do about that. Yeah, maybe YouTube will put them back, maybe they won't, but you know, it is what it is, and I feel like with YouTube, I just go with the flow because the positives far outweigh the negatives with them, and I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to do a live stream podcast with YouTube every day. So I really try to outweigh the positives over the negatives, which there are. So if they delete some every now and again, there's not much I can do about it. So anyway, so we're back to 294. Karen lost the first 3 months of her podcast. Well, there you go. See, so I'm not the first one. Not the first one, not the last one either. Back to the animals, I decided, yeah, I've got Instagram and Pinterest, my website and Facebook. You can see lots of photos there. So here is the first one that I made, and I decided I'm going to make 3 different sizes, so it kind of looks like a family. And I also thought that it would be fun to have 3 different sizes because you never know what size might be appropriate for what kind of gift you're giving or what sort of, oh, it's a bird swooping low. So yeah, we'll celebrate 300 again, so whatever, it doesn't matter. So this is the largest size, and so I started with a larger circle on top. And so I'm starting with a much smaller circle on top for this one. So this one's going to end up being about this tall. And I just kind of guesstimated between this size and this size, and it looks like I'll be able to do a medium size between these. I wasn't sure if this one was going to turn out to be the medium, but I'm looking now at them side by side, and that definitely looks like there's a size missing in between them, or could be missing in between them. So this will be the small, and this will be the large, and there'll be a medium in the middle. So what's cool is that you simply, if you can do a circle motif in single crochet, and if you've ever made a hat or a motif for a blanket or something, this is a very simple thing to do. Then you just work even. You can add stripes, you could add a stitch pattern, you could do it in a solid color, it doesn't matter. And then you do some decreases in the same ratio that you did the increases up here, and instead of cinching it to be round like the top, like a cylinder, we're gonna sew this one flat like that once it's stuck, and then add arms here, which would be optional, legs here, which would be optional, and ears there, whatever shape is appropriate to whatever animal you're making, and then we'll add some little eyes, nose, mouth, or whatever like that. So I think it's going to be fun. I've decided that for my first set I'm going to do 2 color stripes. So you can see I've got platinum for my first color here and splash for my second color. On the small one I'm using turquoise for my first color, and I'm thinking I'm going to use orchid for my stripe color, either orchid or diva. Brenda. Well, Brenda, normally I upload the videos to Podbean, which is a podcast server, so that then they can be distributed through iTunes. But the week that this happened was the week that I was packing, moving, and unpacking. So during that week, I just didn't have time to do extra things like that. I was just grateful that I was able to keep my business up and running, continue shipping all week, and continue doing the podcast all week. I didn't do extracurricular things like that. So had I done all of that, for sure, then the podcast would still be available on iTunes and Podbean. But I did not. Yes, Ava, I did move. Yes, and I'm still unpacking. I unpacked obviously anything that was required for work first. So anything to keep shipping up and running and business up and running, and everything that's personal is not as high of a priority. So that stuff's getting unpacked as we go. Yes, still in Florida. I just moved down the road. My landlord did not want to rent anymore, and so it wasn't a move by choice, but it turns out that it was a good move, and we're getting settled, and you know, it is what it is. As a renter, you don't always have the choices that you want, and you know, I had to move my home and my business, and I did. So thank goodness I found a place, because you all know I looked for a very long time before I found something that was going to work for us. So I'm just grateful that I found something that will work for us, and thankful that I could do it before the landlord ended the lease. So I made it in time. And we have a curious bird this morning. Hi, Curious George. Hi, baby. Good morning. He's looking, and he's circling me. Thanks, Ava. Hi, Alice. Thanks for joining live. All right, let's show you the beach this morning. So the beach to the south of us is Naples and would be Marco Island way down there. There's the bird that I was talking to. There's a bit of foot traffic on the beach this morning. There's some sort of trap down there too. Do you see the trap in the surf? I don't know. Could be a crab trap, I guess? I don't know. Oh, here comes the sun. The sun's just now coming up over the trees in the east. Lovely. Gonna light everything up so well. And here's the beach to the north of us. Not a soul walking on the beach to the north of us. Now that's strange. That is strange. Every now and then one side of the beach is more active than the other, and today's the day that the south is more active than the north. My nose. Brenda, thank you. Yeah, I got my video studio set up and it's looking awesome. You know what's so cool? So thank you for that. I didn't buy a single thing to decorate that room. I was able to pull from different rooms in my house and different areas that were boxed up from my other house, and I decorated that room exactly the way I wanted to with things that I already owned. So that was really exciting. Yeah, the beach is beautiful today, isn't it? Especially when the sun comes out. Just lights everything up so beautifully. Thanks, Sherry. Yeah, I love the colors in my studio. So I went with blues and greens and turquoise. Yeah, Ava, I saw that. What's the temp? I have no idea. Don't know. I didn't check the temperature this morning. Warmer than it's been, so I don't know, high 60s? Middle to high 60s maybe? Well, hi Libby, that's a big deal from Oregon. You're 3 hours earlier than me, so thank you for joining. KB says it's 52 in Ohio. Wow, that seems warm comparatively for this time of year. Downright balmy for Ohio in December. Thanks, Mar. Thank you. I'm really excited about my new studio. It's going to be so fun to do tutorial videos in there and maybe do some live streams in there. Yeah, Sherry. Well, you know, I've been working on Feng Shui for my new place, and that quadrant of the house, the colors are supposed to be blue, green, and black. And I thought that was so perfect because as a video studio, all my video equipment is black. So to decorate the room in blues and greens and black was a no-brainer. And my desk is already white, so I think white, and the walls are white in the room. So I figured turquoise, blue, green, white, and black was going to be a really pretty look in there. I've got lots of inspirational quotes on the wall in the back, so it really made me happy to put that together. Really excited to do a lot of teaching in that room and a lot of tutorial videos in that room. Very excited about it. Thanks, Sherry. I love it. I love it so much. Good morning, Myrna. Thanks for joining live. All right, I am going to add my second color here to my little baby. And I think I'm going to go with Orchid. I was debating between Orchid and Diva, and I think I'm going to do Orchid for my stripe color on this one. On this one I did Platinum for the main color and Splash for the second color. I got all these balls tangled in the bag in my car yesterday, so in order to quickly get them put back together, I didn't do a great job untangling them. Like I grabbed both tails and wrapped because I was in a hurry. So now today, and I knew this would happen, as soon as I went to use the yarn, I would actually have to deal with my quick fix yesterday, and I'll have to wind them properly now. So get those two tails unwound properly. You know, it's the price you pay when you decide to do something quickly, right? You're like, oh, this will be fine for now. Yes, I know I'll have to deal with it later. And then when you do that, you have to say to yourself at that later time, you committed to this, now no getting upset. Oh, I'm also wearing a crochet piece today. So today I'm wearing that tank top that I have. This was like a $3 Walmart tank top that I converted into a cute top with a beautiful lace yoke. It's actually one of my most popular videos here on YouTube. You can search on my channel for Crochet on Fabric and find it. It's also a free pattern on my website. And I'm wearing the Kelly crochet earrings from 80 Handmade Gifts, which I think matches beautifully with the top. And I have them on over my Chico jeans and my Amazon vest, which I've just tied in the middle this morning. I do love the fact that this vest can be secured in multiple ways. So it has a zipper, and then it has a snap placket, and then it also has this drawstring tie. So sometimes I feel like it's just a little more casual to just cinch and tie and leave the zipper and the button placket undone. And once you do that, it has a drawstring waistband, so it does cinch your waist in all the way around, which I think is also a flattering look sometimes. Makes you look less boxy. So that's my look today. Representing yarn in multiple places too, so always a good day. All right, back to our babies. Okay, now I'm going to show you a quick tip. When I'm joining a second color but not fastening off the first color, thank you Sandshell, thank you Sherry, but not fastening off the second color. Well, actually, let me show you another tip first. Because I didn't have a stitch marker on me, I decided to take the tail. Once I reached a point where I wanted to start marking my rounds, I took the tail from the wrong side and I, with my crochet hook, pulled it through the work, and so now it marks the beginning of my round. And now as I do more rounds, when I look at it, I could keep moving it up if I wanted to, but it's just an estimate, so it's not a big deal to me. But I know that everything vertical of that tail now is going to be where the beginning and end of my rounds are. So I feel like that's a nice little, it's not perfect, but it is a tip to use when you don't have stitch markers on you. We don't always have all of our tools with us. In a perfect world we do, but we don't always. And so now I'm going to show you how I add a second color when I'm not fastening off. I'm doing 2 color stripes, so that's very easy for carrying the yarn, and I'll show you on the first one how that ended up looking. So this is the inside of the animal, but you won't even see it anyways. See how easy, oops, let's get that camera shadow out of the way. Can you see? This is the inside. I just put it to the inside so you can see. That's where I carried up the second color so I didn't have to fasten off between colors. And to skip 2 rounds and carry yarn is not a big deal. I think if you go much further than that, it is a better idea to fasten your yarn off. Like for example on these, the mandalas, these were 5 color stripe sequences, so like for example the first color here is peach. I didn't use peach again till up here, and so because it's an open work pattern and the colors are so far removed from themselves, it made more sense to fasten off and redo. So when I fasten off and redo, when I reattach, I like to join with a slip stitch, but when I'm not fastening off and I'm carrying yarn, I feel like it's more fun to me, and if you like to do it another way, that's okay too. There's no wrong way to be creative if it works for you. So now I'm just going to fold that yarn in half, insert my crochet hook. Actually, we actually need to do this a little bit differently because we're changing colors. So I'm going to start the next stitch with my existing color. So insert my crochet hook, pull up a loop. So I've got 2 loops on my hook. This is how you change color from one stitch to another. And then instead of using my same yarn, I'm going to fold the new yarn in half. No knot, no loop, nothing. Just fold it in half and grab it and use it to finish off that stitch. Almost. Somehow I got it wrong. Hold on, let me try that again. See, this isn't a video. This is an edited video. This is live, and live things don't always work perfectly, which I think is great to see too. So we're going to start the next stitch with our first yarn. So we inserted our hook, pulled up a loop. We've got 2 loops on our hook. So now we're going to take that new yarn and yarn over, pull through both loops on our hook. Okay, so now we're going to leave the first yarn alone. We're going to pull on a little bit to tighten up that stitch. Now we're going to work with our second color, and we have our second color's tail. What I'm going to do is when I crochet the next stitch, I'm going to use the new color, and I'm going to work over that tail to hide it so it's not going to need to be woven in later on. So I'm going to sit it right on top of the stitches. Can you see that? I'm going to set it right there on top of the stitches, and when I crochet the next stitch, I'm going to crochet over the tail as I'm crocheting that next stitch. Did I show that with the right angle, or do I need to do something different? Let me know if that worked, because if it didn't, I'll do it again. Just need someone to let me know if they could see that. Sherry said she could see it. Oh, Mara said you could see it very well. Wonderful. So we'll do a couple more now. Okay, so we're going to insert our crochet hook into the next stitch, making sure that tail's rested right on top of the stitch, and crochet the stitch and crochet around the tail. And honestly, however long the tail is, just keep doing it. You can't crochet too much of a tail, right? But if you've done it for a couple of inches, it is sufficient, and you could leave that tail dangling and simply just cut it off when your scissors are handy. Or just keep going until you run out. Hey, this reminds me, does anybody here like to do tapestry crochet? Does anybody here not know what tapestry crochet is? I'll wait and ask both of those questions and see what comes up. Because I have a hankering for doing some bags or maybe even some animals in tapestry crochet patterns with Be So Baby yarn. Edna's interested. Sherry doesn't know what it is. Peggy says I don't know, so I'm guessing she doesn't know what it is. Jeanette's never done tapestry crochet. Ava doesn't know what it is. Mar doesn't know what it is. Belle's never heard of it. Karen does do tapestry. Naomi's never heard of it. Libby loves it. Julie doesn't know. Naomi's interested. Grace doesn't know. Well, this is great. Then I think we found another little subject that Melissa would like to see a bag tutorial. Awesome! Well, I'm so glad that I can introduce you guys to another technique that I think you're going to love. I don't have an example here with me today, and I do want to get through a couple of the babies' patterns first. So here's what I'm thinking. We're going to finish up the mandalas and the feathers. We're going to finish up the babies, and then after that, we'll move on to a tapestry bag, because I have to tell you, there is, other than lace, I mean, lace is a beautiful way to do a textured pattern. But if you want to do a solid fabric, tapestry crochet is unbelievable. And what's really cool about it is it's done mostly in single crochet. So kind of like this, but you're carrying all your yarns together and just changing color as you go, which gives you a nice thick fabric because you're carrying multiple colors. And basically what you're doing, what we just did with that tail, you're working around the extra yarns and just carrying them with me and just changing color as you need. So there will be some tips and tricks required for it, like for how to keep your yarns from not tangling, and how to keep track of where you are, how to read charts, and all sorts of good stuff. But I'm so glad to see that so many people are not familiar with it. It means that it'll be a great thing to show here. I always love teaching new things, especially things that I think are beautiful, not necessarily very difficult to do, and make incredible finished projects that are both useful and beautiful. Yeah, tapestry crochet is unbelievable. It really is. And I think Be So Baby yarn, because of the colors and the weight, being a DK weight yarn, I think it's going to be a great candidate for it. So the more I work with Be So Baby yarn, the more I'm realizing there's going to be so many other fun things to do with it besides baby projects. The baby projects, home deck, and bags, they're all going to be amazing with this color palette. And DK weight yarn is just such a great medium weight yarn that's easy to work with. Okay, I'm going to show you how I change color back to my first color now. I've reached back to my stitch marker and I've done 2 rounds in my second color, so it's time to move back to my first color. So on my last stitch, I'm going to start it with this color and end the stitch with the color I want to change to. So you see I have both my working yarns here. I'm going to start the last stitch with orchid, so insert my crochet hook for single crochet, pulling up a loop, and then I'm going to drop that yarn, pick up the color I want to work with next, and yarn over, pull through both loops on my hook. And you notice it doesn't change the look of that stitch. Isn't that amazing? Even though we did the last step of it with the new color, it didn't affect the look of that stitch. It still looks like it was completely done in the first color, which is what we needed it to do because it was the last stitch of that round. So now we are ready to go on and do our next stitch. Make sure that you don't work over these working yarns. I showed you how to do that on the tail to hide it, but you want to make sure that the working yarn you're not working with stays exactly in that spot, because that's where we will pick it up again in 2 rounds when we're ready to start the next stripe. So now we'll work normally in our stitch pattern, which is single crochet, and we're going to work around for 2 rounds. So now I'll pop back over here and answer any questions. Boy, this is physical doing a tutorial during a podcast. Trying to show 2 angles at once. Bouncing on my butt in the sand. Hopefully it doesn't look as ridiculous as it feels. What am I making? Sherry wants to know. I'm making little stuffed animals that I feel is going to be the most simple body style I could think of to be inviting to people that are new to making stuffed animals. I think that there are lots of ways to make stuffed animals, and there are lots of really amazing intricate patterns out there, and I think we could definitely work up to that, but I think a lot of people that follow me have not necessarily done them before, so I thought it was a good idea to start with simple projects. So let me stuff this real quick to show you what it's going to look like. So I started with a round top, so it'll be the top of the head, but I'm not going to do any shaping for the neck, the shoulders, the torso, none of that. It's going to look like that. So we'll put eyes and nose and mouth here if we want. We'll put some sort of ears here. We'll attach arms here. But instead of keeping it round in a tube like the top, we're going to flatten the bottom here and add our legs. So it's just going to be a really simple, rudimentary animal shape, which could also be considered a monster shape, I suppose. It depends on what sort of details you add, right? So if you add long legs or short legs or long arms or short arms or skinny or fat arms and legs, or long ears for bunnies, or little ears, or little round ears for bears, or pointed ears for cats, or a different ear for a dog, or how you do details for the eyes, nose, and mouth. It could look like a monster or a kitty or a puppy. So I think there's going to be unlimited options still for making different types of animals. And I've just done stripes on mine just for something to do, but you could do this in all different solid colors. You could do a different stitch pattern on there. You could do embroidery on there. There's so many different ways you could do this. So I'm doing a very basic body shape to just be very welcoming to beginners to amigurumi and beginners to making babies. Ava's making mermaid dolls. Yes, I think I saw that. That's wonderful. That sounds so cute. Okay, so I'm going to work on my stripes again. Yeah, the beach is amazing today. I absolutely agree. And it's nice to see a sunny day for a change. I love all the days we have at the beach, and the stormy days have been gorgeous too lately. The colors have been incredible, but it is always nice to get a sunny day back again. And when the waves are loud and rolling like this, it's always a treat. This is the Gulf of Mexico, so most of the time we have very calm and quiet water. So anytime it's something different, it is definitely a treat. Sherry, the animals aren't done yet, so no, I don't have a pattern yet, but it will be coming. I don't even have a finished one to put a photo with a pattern yet, but as soon as I do, I will post the pattern on my website, absolutely. And a tutorial on the YouTube channel. Sandshell covered her work door with a crocheted snowman. Cool, you're welcome, Sherry. This one's going so much faster than the first one. The first one I think had 48 stitches around, and this one only has 36 stitches around, and it's going like lightning fast in comparison. Not that this one took long. This one only took, oh, I'd say a couple hours to make so far. But this one I literally started as I was waiting for the podcast to start, so it's just been a little over 30 minutes. Well, the more you do it, the faster you get at it, Ava. That's all I can say. I've worked with my hands now for full time for 15 years, and I can only imagine that the more you do it, the faster you get. Okay, I finished my second stripe, so it'll be time to turn to the pink now. But we are out of time, so let's take, if someone was asking me about the crochet hooks I use, I prefer Susan Bates Silvalume. They work really well for me, and I have a link to my favorite ones in my Amazon shops. You can check them out at amazon.com/shop/Kristin Omdahl, and that's where I share all of my favorite tools that I use and some of the clothes that I wear here on the podcast, and lots of other fun stuff that I like to buy there. But let's take this last minute now to look out on this magnificent view. Soak in the colors of the sky and the water and the sounds of the waves, and set our intentions for today and the whole weekend. Thanks so much, everybody, for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes here with me. I hope you enjoyed the sunrise, the sound of the waves, chatting with me and everyone else here. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you Monday. Bye!